as we're more self-aware and we start exploring ourselves and thinking about some of our habits, you may realize that there's a couple things that are being done that could be seen as suspicious. Is if every time you get a phone, you call, you get up and you go in the other room, right? You could say, well, I just didn't want to disturb you because you were watching TV. But that countered with, and you put it down, and you do this, and you do that. So now we have some uncertainty going on and we need to discuss it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Romance and Real Estate, where we
help you level up in life, love,
and money.
Yes.
All right. So, man, I come into this episode with a little bit of irritation.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it ain't nothing that personally happened, but it was just something that did happen that triggered, like, old memories. You know what I'm saying? So I don't sit around thinking about no ex-girlfriends or nothing like that. But when we were thinking about things to consider, you guys brought up something earlier and you were just like, you know, that tick for tack type of situation. You know.
And just for clarity, that's like, I know I do, but you do it too. That's what
yes.
you do. Okay.
You know, I feel that when somebody does that, they really have no remorse for offending me, whatever it may be. Like, and you know, and I feel like that those are harsh. That might be kind of harsh, but let's just say they've done something to me. I'm expressing my dissatisfaction or how I feel. It doesn't make me feel good.
Right.
And then when you say, "Well, you do it too." I be wanting to be like, well, didn't nobody ask you? You know, and, you know, I don't do that, but I think that, you know, the thought that comes instantly to mind is, if it bothered you, why didn't you express yourself about it? Therefore, that you wouldn't have any underlying issues with me.
Right, right.
You know, and so when we talking about building relationships, building real estate, you know, the foundation is imperative to make sure that it's okay. And so if it has cracks, the cracks are going to continue to, you know, expand throughout the brick to where then it's just going to have a slope or it's going to be crooked because it's not. So in this type of situation, I feel like you've been holding heat. And so some of your energy that's negative, it ain't even nothing I'm doing. It's just you ain't let go of that because you haven't expressed or communicated what the issue is. So now that I'm upset, disappointed, or feel a certain way that's not positive, you are making sure that you let me know that I do the same thing. So we kind of like even or something. You know, what y'all think about that?
Oh boy.
Well, one, you said you phrased it. I like the way you phrased it. You said you holding some heat. You holding this heat against me. The courage that one has to say in a moment of heat, or after they have been offended or even offensive, is like, now I feel like I'm well within my right to say what it is I want to say, because we in the same boat, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to tell you exactly how I feel, when that's not the perfect opportunity.
Why?
One, you are the offender. And when you are the offender, your first job is just to receive.
So when I'm wrong in a situation in my household, and she, you know, a girl feels a certain way, my job is just to be quiet and listen to her situation and receive it.
Receive it, yes. To understand.
Yes.
See, first to understand, then be understood.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So to then be understood in this situation, could you define the action?
Express perhaps why. What was going on that caused you to make the decision you made that caused the offense, and maybe even how potentially, now that she shared what she felt about it, how you could potentially do that different.
In the cases that I was in, when I would understand, then seek to be understood, What if it becomes a tennis game?
Okay, so one, you have to know your person, and even understanding what their apology language is, right?
Oh, okay.
So if they're looking for a way to move forward and not just like, hey, I'm going to do better, but you're actually going to tell me the plan as to how you're going to do better.
So that's totally different than being right.
Well, we don't even encourage the whole right and wrong.
Yeah.
That's labeling. It's what is.
Right.
This is what happened.
Okay.
I walked away from it with this impression. My desire is to instead experience this.
Got you. Good refresher for everybody. Yeah. Good refresher.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it goes back to one thing that you were saying. You kind of can get into like that moralistic judgment. I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right.
I respect it.
Right.
So even in that, if they're looking for a way forward and that's to ease the tension, because right now tensions are high, and then you come back around with, now let me tell you why. Then it's like, okay, we didn't put this to bed. Let it rest. Let it sim. You remember how you gave the example and you said, your lady, she give you time to go watch the game. So by the time y'all circle back around, there's just certain energy that you don't have.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you see us making progress in the conversation, timing also plays a part in being able to effectively communicate.
Right. And we don't need to lump offenses one on top of the other. We need to allow free reign for us to explore this one, and we could talk about something else later. And there's a few studies on this because this is actually very common. And what we found is that in women, when women tend to do that, like if you bring something to the woman and she's like, okay, but what about you? It's often because she wants to look good in your sight. And she doesn't want you to think that she's doing something that's beneath your habits. So she's reminding you to keep you on an equal pace with how you view her. And I was like, that's intriguing. However, for men, it's much different. Ordinarily, if a woman brings something to a man and expresses what she did not care for or how she would like it to be done different, or, hey, you talk to me like this and I don't like it. And then the man comes back like, but that's what you do. Ordinarily, the reason the man does it then is because he prioritizes peace in his home. But you've already disturbed the peace. So since you done already took the top off, let's go ahead and deal with everything at one time. So the reasons for the habit ordinarily are quite different.
I hope the people in the back listening.
I'm serious. The men want the peace. So you said holding on to something, right? That's ordinarily associated with men. Now, you all aren't necessarily thinking about it every day, right? But you've got it back there. And then when she had the audacity, bam, right? It's like, oh, you done disrupted the game. We might as well do all this right now.
Oh, you want to do it right now?
Oh,
let's do it.
Right?
It's like, no.
But what's not helpful about all of this is it puts you against one another instead of as a team. Remember, we were talking yesterday and it was like, anytime something is said in this circle, it's not you against us or us against you. It's we need to deal with this. It's we, right? So what a helpful strategy is when you want to communicate something that frustrated you is to describe it as how it hurts the union, not just how it hurts me, right? Because then you take the personalization out of it, right? It's like, you know what? This happened and I felt like this really put at risk our union because X, Y, and Z, and I made that mean. Ooh, that's a phrase.
Yeah.
I made that mean. There was an action that catalyzed an emotion in me, and I made that mean X. And now that's risking us in this Y capacity. What do you think we can do to overcome it?
Gotcha.
You see how that takes it off of me doing something, you doing something, me doing something, but our union, we're focused on that. Hey, we got a challenge. How can we fix it?
And
I respect that.
It lightens the wrong right. She said, I made that mean.
That's right.
It wasn't pointing back to this is what you're doing. I don't like how you said it and I don't like, and that wasn't the focal point of her expressing her feelings. She was talking merely about her.
Right. Because when a person is triggered as you well know, that's all about what they have going on in them. It has very little to do with the message they receive. It has everything to do with their past experiences and how they translated it into their understanding. So when we're talking about something happened, you did something. And if I'm offended by it, but everybody else in the room is not offended, what you did is not offensive. I am just offended. So I deserve to share with you, hey, when you said you wanted to hit the woman in the face, I made that mean you think that's an acceptable response, and I have a problem with that. Makes versus sense. You just an offensive nigga over here. I can't talk to you. Now we're not moving forward. So a lot of the way that we speak as a culture, like things that we just say and we all accept it, it limits progress. It shuts the door on forward motion. I
think non-consciously too, though.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think many of us are doing it intentionally, right? But it's still giving us the same undesirable results.
So you mean to tell me that you'll get your hair done, your nails done, and your makeup done, but then you won't do anything to help you?
Girl, that math ain't mathing.
No. So when is it going to be the time that we stop working on the outer things and start figuring out the inner things?
Girl, I think the time is now. And so for you, I'd encourage you to strut over, slide over, get on through, getandstaymarried.com. Because what we have for you is not just this great conversation like we're having today.
Yes.
But it's an entire community to help you know and love yourself, but focus on what we put in and what we put on. So all our clients have a personal stylist, a year with a finance coach, a flexibility coach, a sex educator, because there's a lot of people having sex,
but they not good at it.
Oh, don't let that be you. So go ahead, sis, slide on through, getandstaymarried.com. But for now, back to the show.
You know, do you think that comes from like coming from still practicing single things?
I do believe that people get in relationship before they physically agree to be in a relationship many times before they've mentally made the shift from no longer being single. That can come down to even how you hold your phone, right? When you're single, you hold your phone. Ain't nobody else gonna see the screen. When you put it down, you put it face down.
I still do that. It's such a habit. Like,
I'm not surprised.
Like, I'm being for real. Like, it just...
Yeah.
Mike?
So, as a married man, I can see how to my wife, me putting my phone face down is like, well, why? But in that same conversation and in past conversations, us giving our attention to our phone or our attention to our laptop, I purposely put my phone down and away from me because if it goes off, I don't look at it. And I'm not being given the attention that you're requesting or requiring.
Right.
So I just feel like that has to be established or said
practice
out loud.
It addressed, established, right? Communicated, right? And or you said if it goes off, I'm gonna look at it, or we can shift your response to your phone. Because if you're talking to your wife and your phone goes off, you're talking to your wife. You get what I'm saying?
I'm saying if we're just sitting there chilling, we're not having a conversation, but my phone is just there.
If you're having quality time with your wife, y'all might be silent right now. But this is wife quality time. That's the phone got too much power. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm just using that because you said it, because we think like that. Like, oh, well, the phone went off. I thought this was our time. Even if you're watching Bridgerton.
Yes.
Right?
Too funny.
I thought we were watching it together. Now you're going to miss plot points. I'm going to want to crack a joke later. You're not going to understand it. I don't believe that we're doing it intentionally.
Right.
But the impact is still there.
So I get it. I gotta say that I owned it. Like, I literally like put my phone down all the time, like on her face. Like, I literally do that. What if she needed my phone? I got, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I understand how it could be received.
It's suspicious behavior.
Yeah, but I'm like, the way I looked at it, like, man, she need my phone. She could use my phone. Like, I ain't even bugging.
Right.
But so that's where, but that was me thinking of me. You know what I'm saying? But I just, like I said, I'm guilty of that though. Like, I do that every day.
We all likely have some habits that we're not thinking about how it impacts the other person because we're doing what we've always done.
Yes.
And we don't mean anything to ourselves about it. And we don't anticipate that someone else is going to take anything from it. And sometimes when we don't want to change, we don't want to grow, we'll just be like, well, why are you so insecure?
Yes.
and label it. So now this person has expressed something that makes them uncomfortable. Right. Okay. Right. And it's, why are you so insecure? Again, name calling and a judgment instead of, well, what is it about it that bothers you?
Yeah.
And then having that open dialogue and communication. Often when we've been single and we've been in the lane running single, we've been outside.
Yeah.
We have a habit of doing things that could be labeled as suspicious. And when you put a few of those habits together, it can start to cause a crack in the foundation.
Yes.
To somebody who wants to have even the greatest faith in you, it's a few things that just are giving
I mean, you
pause.
just mentioned that. So for me, like, I was guilty of that. Not every aspect of it, but especially putting the phone down.
But and it's different things for different people. The most important thing that we can continue to go back to is have a conversation, and have a conversation when something has occurred that affects you. Like if you laying down in the bed and that's the thing that's on your mind, and you like, I just don't really. Allowing it to continue to be that way without having an honest or upfront communication with your partner leaves the door open.
No doubt.
For something else to come in that we don't want to come in.
Fair enough. Mike, do you put your phone face down?
Again, like when we're together, like I will purposely put my phone.
I understand why you're doing it though. You're doing it to avoid distraction.
To avoid my phone.
I don't think mine is like that. I think mine is just, it's a habit. We could go to dinner and I'm just gonna do that. Not even like thinking of what it looked like to the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just
any other time I'll just throw it. Like if it's just we walked in the house, I'm just throwing it. Like everybody knows my passcode.
It's very open.
So for that's why I felt like it was no harm. But I'm gonna ask her when we get out this thing, but like, yo,
on its own, it probably seems very harmless.
No, I get it. No,
but when you start having a few, well, I'm just saying, as we're more self-aware and we start exploring ourselves and thinking about some of our habits, you may realize that there's a couple things that are being done that could be seen as suspicious. Is if every time you get a phone call, you get up and you go in the other room, right? You could say, well, I just didn't want to disturb you because you were watching TV. But that countered with, and you put it down, and you do this, and you do that. So now we have some uncertainty going on and we need to discuss it.
So originally we had like, it was a communication thing. I took my notifications off on like Instagram. Like I just turned them off because they would be crazy. I put my phone down because we had that conversation in the beginning that like my phone is distracting. I recognize my phone is distracting. But I can now see like adding up the notifications to putting your phone down. It looks weird if you don't have that
conversation.
Why?
Conversation as to why.
A little suspicious.
Got you.
Suspicious.
What? Give me one more thing that might be suspicious outside of a phone. That
whenever your homeboys call us, hey, I'm with my girl right now. What's up?
Oh. So like,
you on speaker. You on speaker.
You on speaker. What's up?
Pause. I know some of my dudes gonna call. I'd be like, hey, Shaniqua's right here.
That's why.
I'm looking at Shaniqua and I do not mind telling him that because I don't know what he about to say.
We know, but it's suspicious.
But he got his own junk going on.
It's still, again, when you start putting all of this together, think about it. People can't talk freely around me. It must be something I'm not supposed to hear, right? I can't see the front of your phone.
So out of respect,
notifications off.
So out of respect, though, like let's say he got something he working with. That's my peer. He may not want her to know that like that. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I said individually.
Yeah. Okay.
Things may not look like that.
Because I've done that. Because I'm guilty of all above.
Bro.
So
let's be clear here today. Let's be clear, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like you got some suspicious behavior.
I'm about to ask about that.
I think that's a good. That's
a good conversation.
That's
now
good.
Listen though. Now.
Yeah.
Receive.
Yeah.
Receive. Don't try to explain it away.
I have a saying that I would say, but I'm be like, I'm gonna try to understand. I said try.
And remember, as always, lead with love.
You know?
I'm gonna get to that. Yo, check this out, man. We are out for today, man. For the kind people, where could they find you guys at?
You can find us at getandstaymarried.com
or the Marriage Makeover on IG.
I just want you to personally feel attacked. If you put your phone down, you better call them. Peace.